Good afternoon, all of you. So, welcome you all in this platform of KSG, and we have started this initiative for you for this Prelims 2023. Those who are serious candidates, they should go through this. And in this series of videos, we are discussing this previous year question paper. We are discussing those themes which are connected with those question paper, and we will, of course, tell you what would be the probable themes which we can expect this year as well. So let's begin this discussion. First question of today's Prelims Connect, and this question I have picked or borrowed from the previous year question paper. Which are the following links? All the ATMs, those machines which we withdraw money from by using this debit card in India. The first option, Indian Banks Association. Second, National Securities Depository Limited. Third, National Payments Corporation of India, Reserve Bank of India. I can expect answer from you. If you know this, please answer it. So let's see what would be the answer. The answer is obviously the National Payment Corporation of India. This institution, or you can say this organization, is something operating retail payments and settlement systems in India. Now, why this question have been asked? After this 2016 demonetization, you must have seen that this digital mode of payment system have been flourished in our country. So that is why they have asked this question. Operating retail payments and settlement system in India, an initiative of the Reserve Bank of India and the Indian Banks Association. These two bodies, they have established or set up this particular institution to have or to give effect that digital payment system. And question is whether this has been formed or initiated through an act or something executive resolution. This has been framed or formed through this Act of Payment and Settlement Systems Act 2007, creating a robust payment and settlement infrastructure in India. So since this digital India and this digital payment system is something flourishing, and government is also insisting people to opt more such payment methods or to adopt this. So this is our job to cover all those aspects of this digital payment system in terms of banking and all, so that any question would come in your prelims, you will be able to answer that. Let me show you something. This is the next question. With reference to the governance of public sector banking in India, consider the following statements. Capital infusion into the public sector banks by the government of India has steadily increased in the last decade. This question was all about this restructuring of the banking in India. I think you know the NPAs had already increased in our country due to there are many such factors behind this rise in NPAs, but government is trying to restructure, revamp this banking system. So I think you know in 2015 there are a lot of such changes. Government came with that. One such was the Indradhanu scheme, I think you know, in 2015. Okay, so this capital infusion in the public sector banks by the government of India. Capital was infused on the name of recapitalization, but this question is something that has steadily increased in the last decade. This is something what we call in our prelims sense that this is something extreme statement. So this statement obviously is not the right one. To put the public sector banks in order, the merger of associate banks. Associate banks, I think you know, RBI had few associate banks, and later on this has been merged. I mean, these associate banks were merged with the SBI. So this is the statement: to put in the public sector banks in order or to restructure, to give new energy to the bank. That's why we have merged it. The merger of associate banks with the parent State Bank of India has been affected. So this is the right answer. So this is all about the banking merger and acquisition. So whenever you cover this banking as a topic, just try to find out why government is insisting to merge banks. What would be the impact on the banking operation, cost of the banking operation, so that if any kind of question you can expect, you would be able to answer that. Okay. Coming to this, again, question from the banking. Which one of the following best describes the term merchant discount rate, sometimes seen in news? I think you know that in the first question itself, we have seen this digital mode of payment has increased. So, of course, can anyone answer what is the answer of this merchant discount rate? The charge to a merchant by a bank for accepting payments from his customers through the bank's debit cards. POS system, I think you know, through that you can pay to those merchants on those trading class through your debit card system. So this is the answer of this merchant discount rate. This was in news during that day due to increase this digital mode of payment. That's why they have asked. What is our lesson from this? The first question on that digital payment system. The second question is, this third question is also in that digital mode of payment system. Let me show you something interesting. E-rupee could be this year's question. E-rupee could be this year's question. We can expect question on this e-rupee. So what is e-rupee? Let me highlight few points for you. It's a one-time use digital solution to facilitate cashless payment, which is person and purpose specific. So if you are a beneficiary from government and government wants to give you some sort of money for your specific purpose, for your health, for your food, for any specific purpose, those who are beneficiaries, they can avail this facility from the government. E-rupee can be issued only by banks authorized by RBI. Just remember, only by banks authorized by RBI. This is, you have to highlight. Issue prepaid payment system and who are participating as a payment service provider in the UPI ecosystem. So that you have to remember. The first thing, prepaid system. That means suppose a beneficiary who is hospitalized and government needs to what you call the reimburse of that particular person, or to government wants to repay that bill under the, let's say, insurance scheme, health insurance scheme. So government issue a particular QR code, let's say, in that person's mobile phone, so that that person, the beneficiary, could be reimbursed directly through the hospital. So no such direct transfer of money would be made. Rather, money would be paid to the facility, or let's say in my example, to the hospital directly rather than the beneficiary. So directly the payment would be made to the hospital, and the hospital who has given the service to that beneficiary. So who has developed this particular system? National Payments Corporation of India is association with the Department of Financial Services. National Health Authority, Ministry of Health and Family Welfare, partner banks has launched an innovative digital solution, that is your e-rupee. Okay, so the users of this seamless one-time payment mechanism will be able to redeem the voucher without a card. That also you have to remember. These are the key points which you need to remember before your prelims, so that if any such points would be highlighted in your question paper, so that you would be easily eliminate, or you can mark the right answer. Banking access are the merchants accepting e-rupee. E-rupee would be shared with the beneficiaries for a specific purpose or activity by the organizations, the government, via SMS or QR code. That I have already explained to you. So e-rupee could be expected this year's prelims, because this digital mode or the digital payment system or digital banking as such, you can say, is very much the key or favorite area of UPSC, because these are something what you call the current affairs of this time. Okay, that's why we can expect questions from this particular area. The next is this is another something crucial topic. That's why I have picked this one. What is or are the purposes of marginal cost of funds based lending rate, or MCLR, famously you know. Now, why I have chosen this question? Because now we have I think you must know, government is more concerned about, or even if you read the economic survey, you will find this monetary transmission is a theme or a topic which is very much in debate among the people, or government wants to have a smooth monetary transmission to the ultimate borrowers or the beneficiary. So let's start with this question. If you see these, can anyone answer this question again? These guidelines help improve the transparency in the methodology followed by banks to determine the interest rates on advances. That means the loan the bank provides to the beneficiary or to the borrowers. That is the main theme. That means to ensure transparency, improve the transparency. These guidelines help ensure availability of bank credit and interest rates which are fair to the borrowers as well as the banks. Again, answer is C. Both statements are correct. Both statements are correct. But what we have to think or take on this? First is this monetary transmission, what I have already written here. The transmission of monetary policy describe how changes made by the Reserve Bank to its monetary policy settings flow through the economic activity and inflation. When any let's say any benchmark rate, or what we call this reverse repo through which RBI controls this commercial banks, if any changes or let's say any kind of expansionary monetary policy tools, that measures taken by the RBI, that does not simply transfer to the customers or consumers, because banks, the commercial banks as a mediator, they do not shift it equally what RBI has done to them. For example, suppose repo rate through which commercial banks takes loan from the RBI, suppose repo rate decreases, that means cost of borrowing decreases, then it's a duty of the commercial banks to reduce the lending rate as well for the beneficiary or for the borrowers. But commercial bank does not do that, because they have their own sort of argument that the operational cost is much higher for us, that's why we're not doing that. So it is a purely a matter of concern. That's why government is taking this issue seriously. So this is something called we call monetary transmission. Related to that, an external benchmark is defined. This external benchmark is the present time practice. We have this external benchmark. We have simply removed or discontinued this MCLR, what we have seen in the previous question paper. So this external benchmark is the new rate, is defined as a reference rate published by an independent benchmark administrator or the bank, the rate at which banks provides loans to the people, to the public, to the investor. Okay, this is the external benchmark rate. External benchmark lending rates are the lending rates set by the banks based on external benchmarks such as repo rate, 91 days treasury bill and 182 days treasury bill. So this is what you need to remember, because there is a possibility if they have asked MCLR, they would definitely ask you what would be the external benchmark, how does it set, or who decides that. So these are something we have discussed today. Let me show you another question, the last question of today's. Service area approach was implemented under purview of. This question was asked in 2019. And this question was all about, again, the banking system. And the answer is obviously lead bank scheme if you have gone through the previous year question paper. So what is the service area approach? Service area was something that was introduced in 1989. 1989 it was introduced, and what was the objective? Objective is planned and orderly development of rural and semi-urban areas. That means all those commercial banks and regional rural banks, their branches should be allocated few villages and those areas where they would be given the responsibility to have an overall development. That means the responsibility of overall development of that region lies with the branches of that regional rural bank and commercial banks. Okay, so I mean, these are the questions that we have picked for you. So let's summarize whatever we have discussed today. The first thing, digital mode of payment or digital banking is something you need to cover for this year's prelims. Second, whatever questions have already asked, just find out those related areas. For example, this monetary transmission, MCLR they have already asked. So we discussed monetary transmission and this external benchmark. Possibilities there, they would come with such questions. Next, we have discussed this one, merchant discount rate. So possibilities there, e-rupee could be this year's question paper. Okay, so these things we have to keep in our mind. I would be serious enough to cover those topics so that any such question would come, we will be able to answer it properly. Thank you very much. Tomorrow we will come more such questions and with some more insights. Thank you.